sweet one bliss. Someone flicks me a bad body. Say, oh, it's another one. It's another one, yeah. It's a full strong, yeah. Oh, it's another one. It's another one, yeah.
Good afternoon, or good evening, or even good morning. You know, this is iBoxingHub. If you're new to the channel, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. I go by the name of Biyenge, featuring yours Truly Tre and our special guest, George.
Appreciate being here.
Yeah, it's such an honor, George, just to have you. You know, we've been going back and forth online for such a long time. So, me, this is just a milestone because, you know, you've done a lot in the sport, and we're gonna, you know, give you a proper introduction. Before we obviously get started, just wanted to shout out the community, shout out to, you know, all the boxing enthusiasts that, you know, watch our shows. We appreciate your support, and we do these shows just for you, of course. Big up to Thunder Road. Thunder Road is obviously saying the lads are 2 hours early this Sunday. This is why you need to subscribe and hit the notification. Thunder Road, this is part 1 of part 2 of our double header. So George is obviously filling in for our part 1, and we've got a special part 2 later on in the next few hours. But before we get started, we obviously have to big up to our sponsors, D-Rock. Yes, guys, so that's D-Rock. We saw, you know, a little bit of something from my cousin Chris, so big up to him. And guys, just to support the channel, take advantage of the discount code, 40% off of everything, and you've just seen the range. So, Kaz, let me do this introduction for George, of course. George Jakovic is obviously a father, husband, family man, producer, writer, director, boxing enthusiast. He's obviously been involved with HBO for over 15 years. And I've actually got a small clip, in fact, from his podcast. So, guys, make sure you're just tuning in to One Round with George.
You give me 3 minutes, 1 round, I'll give you boxing. Ever since I was a kid and saw Sugar Ray Leonard fight, I've loved boxing. I was at HBO for 15 years as a feature producer, won a few sports Emmys. Not bad. I got to travel the world and tell the great stories of these fighters.
Maybe something of a rooting interest in Alexander among the entire HBO Sports crew here, because Alexander's manager is former HBO Sports producer George Jakovic.
I've managed a fighter. I've worked a fighter's corner, being as close to the action as you can get. My life has revolved around boxing.
So, guys, make sure you're subscribed to One Round with George. We've got the link in the description. And for me, George is more than a boxing enthusiast. We were just saying that before we're going live. I think he's, you know, tremendous. The fact that he's been involved in all aspects, you know, the producing, you know, managing, being involved in with the fighters as well in the corner. I think you're a legend in itself, George. But it's we're happy to have you.
Man, hearing that, like, you guys are propping me up so much. I appreciate the love. I love that I'm talking with you guys. I love your channel. Look, we're talking boxing because we love the sport, and we were talking offline, but really quick, I wanted to be a boxer. Love Sugar Ray Leonard. There was a gym in my hometown that closed down, but I never lost the love for the sport. There's my man, Sugar Ray, but never lost the love for the sport. And I ended up I went to college for television, radio, film. My first job was with HBO. And I can remember, I've told this story to other people before, but the very first day I was at HBO, I was in the bathroom. I mean, I'm a man. I have to go to the bathroom sometimes. So I'm sitting down, and I said, I might be taking a dump where Sugar Ray Leonard sat, where George Foreman sat. Like, these guys might have been right here. I was so excited, but it was a dream job at HBO, and I was strictly working boxing, and I got to go around the world and tell fighter stories, and it was a great experience. And I'm still doing it, and in a different capacity. I'm a freelancer now, but yeah, I've had a little taste of managing a fighter, which I would never do again, because you both know the business of boxing is it's just dirty. I don't like the business. I love the fighters. So that's why we're talking, and I'm probably a little tired because, Trey, we were talking last night. Like, I was up late watching the Floyd Mayweather, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Money heist.
Exactly, which I did not pay for, by the way. But I gotta say, I'm watching this. It's my time. I don't know, 1:15 in the morning. And I'm saying it's 2024, and I'm watching a Floyd Mayweather fight. He's 47 years old. He's fighting a guy who's not a fighter. He's fighting John Gotti's grandson. So it was just bizarre. For 47, Floyd looks good.
Yep.
For 47, but it was just look, if people pay, if he's making the money he claims he's making, I don't see why he would stop doing it. But I don't know. I can't see people paying for that. But it looked like there was a good crowd in Mexico. But it was bizarre. But if people want to keep throwing money at him, by the way, Victor Ortiz fought on that undercard. He had an exhibition. It was clearly, they weren't even sparring. They were just kind of pity patting for 6 rounds. Yeah. I don't know. Boxing is look. No matter how it tries to destroy itself, we still love the sport. So.
Yeah, we love it. And you said it best. It was a bit of a strange one, and I sort of said to our team, and big up to the iBoxingHub family. It's not just myself and Biyenge. There's quite a few of us, and we're doing shows throughout the week. And I was sort of saying to them that Mayweather, he does legalize bank robbery with these exhibitions. And he says it to everyone. He says, look, if you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. But if you are going to watch it, you're going to have to pay. But, there are ways and means to obviously not pay for it. But I think at the end of the day, because obviously you wanted to say, and it'll be interesting to see what George thinks. What did you say that Mayweather should be involved in after this?
Do you know what? First of all, I didn't tune in to the event yesterday. I tried to, but I just couldn't be bothered. Secondly, Eddie Hearn, he mentioned that he reckons that the reason why Floyd is keep on doing these exhibition fights, he reckons that Floyd's broke. I don't think he is. I just think Floyd's just bored. Do you know what I mean? But I think Floyd should participate in the Misfits fight. I think he should fight the likes of KSI, a non-exhibition fight. I think a lot of YouTubers will tune in, new audience, and a lot of boxing fans and casual fans will also tune in. I believe that'll be a good fight. I believe Floyd will still beat KSI, but I think it'll be a good fight. End of the day, look, Floyd, he's retired. He ain't coming back to boxing. He's having fun. He's making easy money. Easy money. What's your thoughts
I
on
agree
Floyd?
With you. I think he should do that. Will he? I don't know. I mean, he's going to do whatever's going to make him the most amount of money for the least amount of risk, because he's 47. He's almost 50 years old. So I don't know what his end game is. I don't know if he's broke. Look, I mean, Tyson and Holyfield went through what, $200-400 million.
Yep.
But if he's broke, wow, that's really I'm shocked, because you hear all these rumors that he was in Saudi. I think he couldn't get out of the country. I don't know. I do think he's probably bored. I mean, he's done this since he was a kid, and if he can if he can get paid and not go through any trauma physically, he's going to keep doing it. But I think it would be a big draw if he fought, the KSI guys. I mean, he fought Jake Paul's brother, which fought Logan, which was, what was Logan, like 190 pounds?
He was like a cruiserweight on the night, innit? And yeah, it was just it was weird. It was weird. And yeah, it was just the overall event. Obviously, big up to Lucy. She's all the way from the States across the pond. We obviously appreciate your support as always. She's saying Ortiz supposedly has a legit fight next week. I'm pretty sure he was trying to have as little as contact as possible. Lucy's always coming through with the facts, and big up to her. And possibly that was the case for Victor Ortiz. But in regards to Mayweather, I do agree. I think he's bored. It's an easy draw for him. I'm guessing with the lifestyle comes with the expenses, and if he can do a money heist now and then, I'm sure he's going to do it. And it seemed like the Mexicans did love him. He came with the Mexican colors. He does his thing. So I don't think no one's complaining other than the purists, I would say, like us.
But we also know, the three of us know, what you're going to get. If you're going to watch it, or if you're going to pay for it, don't complain, because you know exactly what's going to happen. He's going to dominate. It's not going to be real. He's not fighting real fighters. So we know what we're getting. So you can't really complain. Like Floyd says, if you don't want to watch, don't watch. I don't know the business end, but if people are really paying him all this money, I mean, I can't blame him for doing it. Something funny, seeing Ortiz, I was in Victor Ortiz's camp for the Mayweather fight. We did a 24/7 on that fight, and I was the field producer. So I was with him for 2 weeks, all into the lead up in Vegas. And I remember he had some not really tough sparring partners, and I'm watching him train, and he didn't really seem to have a game plan. Like, I think his plan then was, I'm younger, I'm stronger, I'm going to overwhelm him. And it didn't happen. But the thing that I remember most was the night, but he made weight at the weigh-in, and then because we were shooting with him, he went to the Pink Taco, I think, to eat at the Hard Rock, and he ate so much food. Which, look, fighters, they after they make weight, they want to eat. But then the next morning, he had this gigantic, like, pancake breakfast. I remember I'm in the locker room. His team came in, and he went to sleep. He slept. He took, how when you're in a food coma, you're just lethargic. Certain foods.
Yeah.
They had to wake him up for the fight, and I remember watching him, and he's just looking lethargic on the pads. I'm not saying that's why he lost, but it's just that's what I remember most. Why would a guy who the biggest fight of his career, and he would do that? I mean, he went out. I was sitting ringside, and I mean, I know how it ended kind of, dramatically, but before that, Floyd was banging right-hand leads off his dome from the first round. But it was just odd. And then seeing him last night, I mean, he's only 37 or 38, but he looks very
aged.
I wish him well, but it's a brutal sport. Boxing is not your friend. Just because you were a good fighter before, it doesn't mean you're a good fighter now. So, Victor supposedly has a fight next week.
Yep.
But why was he on an exhibition? I heard they're trying to make a fight between him and Floyd again.
Oh no, please.
See that? I mean,
we don't want to see that. I personally wouldn't want to see that, but it's just a bit crazy. So George, I kind of wanted to talk, in fact, like obviously HBO, you mentioned, some tremendous stories, of course, and you obviously had some storytellers in both these, legends themselves. How was the experience like, just, being there live, seeing them work their magic? Because we obviously had the storyteller on this show just yesterday through, Mr. Neutral. You obviously had Adam Smith, and it's absolute legend. So when you think about, the commentators and Jim Lampley and, Merchant,
Roy Jones, Emmanuel Stewart.
Jones,
Yeah.
Emmanuel Stewart. You met him as well. You met him. Look how young.
You know what? That picture was taken in Austria. I was there. Klitschko was having his rematch with Lehman Brewster, and we were doing a feature for it. And that picture that was up, it was at a dinner. So I had met Emmanuel before, but didn't know him. So I was in camp just for a few days, and he invited us to dinner, me and the crew, the camera crew. So I think he was just excited to have some new blood, So it was about 10 of us at dinner, and as the night went on, there were less and less people, and at the end of the night, it was just me and Emmanuel, and we were just talking boxing, and I was pinching myself, saying, "This is Emmanuel Stewart, and I'm having dinner with him." And I told him, I said, "Emmanuel, listen, I'm sorry, man. I'm a Sugar Ray Leonard guy, and when he fought Tommy, I was rooting for Tommy." He said, "Oh, that's okay. That's all right. That's all right." So I told him my story, that I wanted to box and this and that. So at one point, he looked at me, he said, "If I'd have trained you, you'd have been a bad motherfucker." And that's he would but he didn't have to say it. But I'm like, man, this is whether he meant it or not. Like, legend. It was the whole HBO thing though. It was HBO was the best to do it. And when I grew up, when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, they were, the fights that they had, Hagler, Hearns, and Leonard Hagler, and on, in the Mike Tyson era, they were the absolute best to do it from every aspect, from the matchmaking to the production to the guys, Jim Lampley. No one's better than Jim Lampley. Jim Lampley, it's a crime that he's not doing it today, still doing it. And he told me that when HBO shut down, no one offered him a job. So he should still be calling fights. Roy Jones should still be calling fights. Max Kellerman should still be calling fights.
Yeah.
Just the production, everything about HBO, and I'm biased, of course, but I think HBO did everything better than anyone. And
I agree.
Now it's a different game. HBO's gone, Showtime's gone. It's just boxing doesn't die; it just changes. Now everything is streaming. What I don't like is the quality, especially not even the matchmaking, just the quality of the production. But that's a whole other thing. But HBO. Yeah, every day there was it was I love what I was a little different from the other producers there because I literally grew up on the sport and loved the sport. A lot of the people there, they learned the sport and they learned to love it, but I went in loving it. On my lunch breaks, when I first got my first job there, it was 3 days a week. They were paying me $100 a day, just flat, so it was $300 a week. I said, "Listen, can I come up here 5 days a week?" They said, "Yeah, you can. We're not going to pay you." I said, I want to come. Wow. They had a library of it was cassettes, but they had their entire library of fights in a room. So when I would take lunch, I would pull up an old fight, an old, Donald Curry and Mike McCallum or whatever. I would pull up old fights, and that was my lunch break, watching old fights. But it was fun. So I miss HBO. It's too bad that it's gone, but I feel like the people there that ran HBO, they knew they were going to get out of the sport even years before, because years before the budget kept getting smaller and the fights, they started turning their backs on promoters. They wanted to get out, and then they did.
No, that's so sad. That's so sad. Literally, because before you get into the questions, just want to run through some of the comments. Everyone's loving the fact that George is here. Big up to Jams. Jams is obviously saying big up Biyenge, big up Tre, big up George. You're early today. Nearly missed you. We're back 7:30. This is just a double header. We wanted to do something special for you guys. Lucy's obviously saying everything sounds better when it's Jim Lampley calling. We definitely agree with you. And Lucy's asking you, George, what is your favorite HBO fight?
Oh man, I favorite fight. That's a hard one because there's so many memorable ones. You know what? I'll say my most memorable one, and this is before I was even at HBO. The George Foreman Michael Moorer fight. I was watching that with my best friend. We're watching the fight, and we're saying, man, Foreman might have a chance in this. And then as the rounds went on, Moore's beating him down. So we were like hyped to start, and you start slumping in the couch, slumping like 6th round, 7th round, and then we're like, oh man, I hope George doesn't get hurt. And then that 10th round, and that miracle, and hearing Jim Lampley saying, it happened.
Yeah, it happened.
We're two grown men. We're hugging each other. Yeah. We're hugging each other. That was probably the most memorable. I mean, my favorite HBO fight, I'm not the only person that loves this one. Hagler Hearns is probably my favorite HBO fight, just because the ferocity of it, and because it was everyone talks about Gotti and Ward, and there were great fights, but Gotti and Ward weren't two of the best fighters on the planet like Hagler and Hearns. And you rarely see guys just say, look, we're just going to go to war today, and whoever wins is going to win. And they overcame all the hype. They as hyped as that fight was, the fight was even more than the hype. So that question, I could every other minute I'll come up with a different one, but there was just so many great fights.
No, I agree with you definitely. And just before, obviously, I get over to Chris Biyenge, obviously my co-host. That fight, I did actually watch a series whilst I was in uni called Legendary Nights, where Jim Lampley just does the whole behind the scenes. He does the whole lot.
Guess who helped create that show?
You're the legend. I know. This is why I wanted to. Yeah. How did you? What made you come up with that concept? It's just tremendous.
Well, I was a production assistant then, and me and a guy that worked there, we knew it was the 30th anniversary of it was either the 25th or the 30th anniversary of HBO Boxing. So we were talking. We said, HBO should do something big. Do something big for this, and wrote up an email. Said you should, take your top fights. It's not a new concept. Do docs on the biggest fights. But I was a production assistant. Ross Greenberg ran HBO. It's funny because even when I was at HBO, everyone would say, yeah, you're the guy that created. Ross Greenberg would never give credit. And I love Ross. Ross is a good guy. He would never give credit to a PA. So when they asked him, how did you come up with this? He said, one day it just hit me one day. We should do docs, which, look, someone probably would have come up with it because there were a lot of smart people there. But that was, we did a Legendary Nights. I was a production assistant. I worked on all of them. A few years later, I was a producer, like a full-on producer. We were going to do a second round of Legendary Nights, which every year I kept saying, why don't we do this? We have the fights.
Yeah.
It was going to be like Morales Barrera and just, Foreman and Holyfield, Tyson Spinks. And it just they pulled it and it never came back. So I don't know if they didn't want to spend the money on it. But that was a great series. It was a great series.
My favorite. It's my favorite. I always refer, the other family members, or if you want to just get your dig deep information, as in get the information behind the scenes, what happened in the build up, especially with the Hagler versus Hearns one as well. The build up, everything, the back end stuff. I just really enjoyed it, and I didn't know that Emmanuel Stewart wasn't happy with the entourage of Hearns at the time, because I think apparently someone was massaging him, and massaging makes the body feel relaxed, and he was so angry and he just chucked the person out. But yeah, just so many different stories, man. Cuz sorry, I know you got a lot of things to.
No, do you know what? No. I was gonna ask a question, but I think Lucy asked the question about what was your favorite fight at HBO. But I'm inspired by your stories. Please do carry on, George. I'm just listening to you. I'm all ears.
Yeah. It was that series was so good, and we did 2 Tyson fights. We did Tyson Douglas. And we did Tyson Lennox Lewis, but it was supposed to be Tyson Spinks. Lennox Lewis at the time was he was with HBO, and HBO wanted to keep him, so they ended up doing one on his fight with Tyson, and they pulled the Tyson Spinks, which was sad because Mike Tyson, when he beat Michael Spinks, he was at his zenith, at his height. He was at his height. I mean, he was the king of the sport. He was probably the most well-known athlete in the world. And it's too bad that we never did something on that fight. But those are great shows. Even now,
I used to watch them. I can't lie to you. Those are like my bedtime sort of. Yeah, I would watch them because the narration, the back end stuff, the build up, especially the Meldrick Taylor and Chavez. I think that has to be for me one of the most epic ones, because you're kind of going through what happened to Taylor afterwards, the build up. Like, what was your thoughts about Meldrick Taylor? Because he was obviously being compared to obviously Sugar Ray because of his fast hands. He's a gold medalist as well. He's part of the gold medal team that had Pernell Whitaker, Evander Holyfield. So I just wanted to just get your thoughts on Taylor. And do you think, firstly, he won that fight? Because I think the ref should have not called it at the end.
2 seconds. You can't argue with people that say the ref is there to save the fighter. I get it, but 2 seconds or whatever it was, he saw the lights going off. It was heartbreaking, and I think it helped to end Meldrick Taylor. He did take a lot of punishment in that fight. And Taylor, I was a kid when that '84 Olympic team was around, and I remember they all signed with Main Events, and I remember I'm a kid when you used to write letters. I wrote letters to Main Event saying I love these guys, and they sent me back autograph pictures, which somehow I lost over the years. But Meldrick Taylor, everybody thought was going to be a star, and I watched that fight a couple of months ago, and he looked so good in that fight. But his problem was he was a Philly fighter, and he liked to just stand there too much. Like Floyd used to stand in the pocket but not get hit.
Yep.
Meldrick would stand in the pocket and get hit, but overwhelm you with his speed, and that was heartbreaking. Like, and then they had a rematch when Meldrick was done, and Meldrick's still alive, but I don't know how he's doing now. But it was heartbreaking to see what the sport did to him, but for him to not have that moment, when he was just you got to give Chavez credit. He never stopped. He never stopped, even though he was down. He never stopped, and it was so dramatic. But just the way it ended was heartbreaking. And then Meldrick Taylor's story now, how he is.
Yes.
These shows were done 20 years ago. Yeah. Meldrick Taylor's still alive, and the damage you get in boxing, it's not like a cold where you can shake it off and then you're better. So, I hope he's okay. I hope he's safe. I hope he's got people around him that care about him. But he was a fantastic fighter, and
I agree.
I mean, he had star written all over him, but keep saying boxing is a brutal sport, and it was brutal to him in the end.
No, definitely, I agree with you. And big up to We Are Very Phil Usyk, #1. I'm a massive fan. He's obviously saying iBoxingHub, and George, big up to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Meldrick Taylor's story he had a very tough story. I definitely agree, Lucy. And look at that gold medal team: Meldrick Taylor, Pernell Whitaker, Evander Holyfield, and Mark Breland. We obviously trained. Wilder was in that corner with him as well. And the last time I saw Meldrick Taylor's speech, it was so slurred. You couldn't understand him. I think he continued to fight even years later.
He did.
I believe, but it was just sad.
I mean, boxing, you'll get certain promoters, and he was a name. So he was, at the end, he used to fight in front of, giant arenas filled with people. And at the end, he was fighting at racetracks, I think, and just
that's sad.
Guys that he would have beat so easily, but he was getting beat up by it's the same thing. I'm glad it didn't turn tragic, but Roy Jones, to me, Roy Jones was the most skilled. I'd never seen anything like him in person ever. He wasn't textbook. He was incredible. But then at the end of his career, he's getting knocked out. by guys that shouldn't be able to touch him. That's what I mean. And Roy Jones was an all-time great. A lot of people say he's the greatest fighter they ever saw. He was, for me, that I ever saw in person. But it's just it is a tough sport. That's why these men and women who want to get paid, I don't blame them for wanting to get as much money as they can, because how many guys do you hear, have no money? How many fighters do you hear are broke and they can't talk? I hear fighters all the time that are still fighting. I hear them talk, and I can tell that damage, like they're already damaged, and it's going to get worse as they get older. Man, it's a tough. It is a tough sport. It's a tough sport.
No, it is definitely. And at peak powers, Roy was ecstatic. Yeah, we definitely agree with you. Do you think, George, that it was because he was going up and down in weight? Because once he became heavyweight, won the title, I think it's when he came down to fight Tarver, I believe, is when things just, after that first fight, maybe he shouldn't have gone back in the ring with Tarver, because Tarver was super hungry. They call him obviously the Magic Man for a reason, and he was just so hungry, especially when they had the second fight. And, when the microphone was put in the middle, you got any excuses now, Roy? Like, you just, the hunger. You just know he was ready for that fight.
I agree. I think when Roy beat Ruiz at heavyweight, like boxing is real life. It's not the movies. If you were writing a movie script, Roy Jones would have retired after he beat Ruiz, heavyweight champ, and he goes down in history. Muhammad Ali would have retired after George Foreman, regained the title, goes down in history. Sugar Ray Leonard would have retired after he beat Hagler, but they don't. They keep going, and I agree. I think when he moved back down, and he had all sorts of problems with Tarver in that first fight, and then you see what happened in that second fight. I think with Roy too, I think the weight. I think he probably lost something in his speed, because he did everything that you don't teach. That the purist that you don't teach. Didn't jab, hands down. He just had incredible power and speed, and once he lost a little bit of it, that was all it took. But the weight, certainly going up and down, didn't help him. I agree with you 1,000%. But he ended up losing a bunch of fights at the end. And then didn't he have a fight like within the last year or two? He came back again. Thank God he didn't get hurt.
Oh no.
But these guys, they can't get it out. It's hard for them to get it out of their system.
George, what's your thoughts on Jake Paul and Mike Tyson?
I was at the first press conference in Harlem a couple months ago. I think Netflix is in the business of making money and selling their product, and that's what they're going to do, because I'm hearing people argue Tyson's too old, he's going to get killed, and other people saying Tyson, the first time he hits Jake Paul. This is what I'm talking about. This is like the Twilight Zone. I don't want to see it. Tyson is 57, 58, whatever he is, and they had to postpone the first one because he had some kind of a medical issue. Look, I mean, they're all in the business of making money, so it really doesn't matter. Netflix is winning because people are they're gonna subscribe. It's not even a pay-per-view. They want people to subscribe to Netflix, and people are gonna do it. But that's where we are now in boxing. What do I think about it? I think that it's a joke of a fight. I don't think it should be a real fight. They're saying it's going to be a real fight. But if people are going to pay for it, and it seems like people will, it doesn't matter what someone like me says. Netflix, they're selling a product, and it sounds like both guys are going to get paid a tremendous amount of money. And I see Lucy says 60-year-old man against almost 30-year-old. It is disgusting, but
disgusting.
But it's, I don't even know if that's boxing. I think it's entertainment. Like it's hard for me to even think of this as a fight. It's just entertainment. But I can tell you, there was some electricity in the crowd for that presser in Harlem. this is where we are with boxing. You know, I mean, you got the Floyd Mayweather things from last night.
Yeah. Oh man,
It's about making money. I wish they would. I wish they would make the fights. I wish they would make Shakur and Tank. And there's so many great. You can name the three of us can name 1,000 great fights. Make those fights and focus on those fights. But look, I learned my first TV class in college. It was like TV production 1, whatever it was. The professor wrote on the board, television is a business. The purpose of a business is to make money. It's the same with boxing. Boxing is a business. They want to make money. So now you got Mike Tyson, and people talk about it like it's a real fight. Like Tyson was, you know, I have pictures on my wall, like right above me, of Tyson knocking out Burbick and Tyson knocking out Spinks. This is not 1988. This is 2024. Like, watch Mike Tyson's last fight that he had. Now, the Roy Jones, yes, but it was an exhibition. But his last fight, Mike was knocked out, and he looked terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know. So it doesn't really matter what people like me think, because they're going to make money, and it's going to entertain. But what I'm hearing, they're going to – I feel like they're going to have some kind of special – I know a guy who helped make that fight at Netflix, who used to work at HBO.
Ooh,
and
okay.
They weren't even saying it was a fight at first. They keep calling it an event. So, and they're saying 2-minute rounds. How can it be a legit fight if it's 2-minute rounds? But boxing does what it wants. Danny Garcia is getting a title shot against Erislandy Lara after not fighting in 2 years.
Oh.
When you try, like you guys both, when you try to explain boxing to your friends who don't really know boxing, they'll say like, "Wait, what? He's getting a title shot? Why aren't the best guys fighting each other? In every other sport, the best teams and the best players play against each other."
Yep.
This is just it's the Twilight Zone sometimes.
No, 100%. Everyone agrees with you, George. And big up to Aisha, Green Diamond Boxing. That's our sister. She's obviously doing, quite a few interviews on the channel. So, guys, just make sure you check out what she's doing. But everyone seems like they're agreeing with you. Danny Garcia has been out for 2 years, never fought at the weight, and he's getting a title shot. And how does that work? And with the fighters that are currently in the rankings, they're fighting, they're more active. It's like they get pushed away, and it's like, yep, because it's Swift, we got to give him the say. And I just think that's a bit unfair when it comes to boxing. But like you said, it's the politics.
It is. There's no fair. Like there's no, like people say he doesn't deserve it. Throw that word out and throw fair out. Like, look, Joe Cordina does not deserve a title shot against Shakur Stevenson. He doesn't. He doesn't fight. He's not a lightweight. He doesn't deserve it. But this is boxing. It doesn't matter what you deserve, and that's a great card, by the way. I can't wait.
Yeah, what's your thoughts? So we have to put it on. Just like, you know what? Now it's there.
Oh man, I can't wait. That better be a Bivol fight. When it got postponed, I was so bummed. I was so bummed. I'm a big Arthur guy, man. I think he's incredible. But at some point, the dude I think he's 39.
Yeah.
And I know he's a Muslim. I know his assistant trainer, John Scully. I talk to him all the time. He literally when Beterbiev won a belt, he celebrated by drinking black tea. Like, he doesn't party, he doesn't drink, he takes care of his body. But Father Time starts to disintegrate your body, and you can't do certain things. So the intrigue is he's 39. See, some people feel Bivol wins by UD, but a lot of people didn't feel like that before the fight got postponed because of Beterbiev's knee. So I think Archer's going to win it. Can Bivol win it? Yes, but I just want to see it. Like, that's a fight I'm excited for.
We've been waiting for years, isn't it?
Waiting for years.
Waiting for too long. And, you know, with the politics of what's going on outside of boxing, and it kind of filtered into, you know, the situation in boxing. But I'm just happy that, you know, His Excellency, you know, there's a lot of people that have, you know, their opinions about His Excellency, but look, he's making the fights. I personally didn't like the fact that he was saying bad things about Tim Tszyu, you know, saying we're not going to work with him. And He's a warrior. You've seen what he got through in his last fight, and I just think that he's got the kid's got grit.
That was like a bully. He almost came off like a bully.
Yeah.
Like His Excellency. You know, look, I'm glad he's making the fights. One thing I don't like, boxing is only loyal to money.
Yeah.
And the fact that Turkey got inducted into I think he got inducted into the Las Vegas Boxing Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
It's a joke. And we all know they did it because he's got money and everybody wants a piece of the money. Don't induct the guy into the Hall of Fame. Like, he has no track. His track record is an inch when other guys have been for a mile. That's what I'm saying. Boxing, you like deserve is not a word you can use. But he's in the Nevada net right now. He is in the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame because they want to do business with him. Everybody wants to do, and I get it. I love that he's making the fights, but I don't like what he really came off like a bully with Zoo, and I'm sure that I don't think that's his intent, but it came off as very bullyish.
Yeah.
But what I love is he's making fights, and for me, I'm on the East Coast in the United States. When they have those fights in Saudi, it's during the day. I don't have to stay up till 2-3 in the morning.
Oh, you're so lucky. So lucky.
You guys have it bad because I really realized that last night because I'm watching. It's 1, so it's like 6 a.m. your time. I mean, 3, 4, 5 in the morning. You guys, it's tough. You guys have it. Right. I can't complain compared to how bad you guys have it.
It's in a way is this, and my cousin would agree with me. It's the love for the sport.
Right.
We kind of had the experience, from a young kids. From when Mike Tyson was fighting, we kind of knew, to have a nap before 12 o'clock. So you wake up about 1, 2, and then you'll be up in time for about 3 or whatever. Right. We're good to go. So it's just one of those things you do for boxing, and I'm just excited that we're getting these fights. So, because you're about to say something, I know.
You know what? We've got the big rematch happening on the 21st of December. Usyk and Fury. Just wanted to know your prediction.
Ooh.
I thought Usyk was going to win the first fight because with Fury, look, I'm often wrong in my picks. I can tell you right now, I don't bet on fights. I thought Oscar De La Hoya was going to beat Manny Pacquiao, and I bet $200 in Vegas on that fight. And I don't know how to pick fights, but I saw with Fury, I thought that he physically is. I'm not going to say he's shot, but he's wearing down.
Mentally,
and he struggled with Ngannou, and I thought it wasn't because his weight. He was a little heavier, but he wasn't too much heavier. I thought he was fading. I thought that his lifestyle, what he's doing to his body. I picked Usyk, but it was a very close fight, and that knockdown probably sealed it.
Yep.
Fury is. I watched his. Was it the Netflix series that they had?
Yep.
Look, the guy. Man, his wife is a saint.
Yep.
For being
dealing with him. Yeah, I know.
But I just feel like he's done a lot of abuse to his body. And can he win the rematch? Sure, he can win. But I think Usyk is going to win. But I can't wait to see it. It would be a great thing for Fury and his legacy. But he seems like he's been wanting out of the sport. It's been a while since before Usyk, it had been a while before he had a really tough challenge. And I mean, that was a great fight. I was rooting openly for Usyk. I lost my voice screaming for Usyk, but you got to give Fury his credit. Fury, to be as big as he is, and let me tell you, there's a lot of people here there's a lot of conspiracy theories about him, especially in the Deontay Wilder fight.
Oh yeah.
But look, the rematch. I can't wait for it, and it's right around Christmas, so it's like a Christmas present for boxing fans.
Usyk. We are very full Usyk. You just know he's supporting Usyk, and I am as well. I can't even lie to you, and I've said it. when this fight was announced, I said that, Usyk was gonna win. But the reason why I said it is because I'm a fan. I've been following his story, since he won gold here in London, and then he dominated the cruiserweight division, became undisputed, came up, fought AJ twice, won the belt off him, and then defended it. And I just think the story, it has been truly tremendous. And I think, should he win this fight, please just call it quits. He'll go to the sunset and just allow these other guys to, the younger fighters to try to become champion. And look, I see you nodding, thinking, kind of saying no, because it's money at the end of the day.
Well, you were saying, like, we all, as fans, you want the storybook ending.
Yeah.
Right, right off into the sunset. But look, Lennox, there's very few fighters. Joe Calzaghe retired. Lennox, even though it was a loss. Marvin Hagler,
yes,
but it's rare. It's almost like you can count on your hand the number of fighters who retired in their prime or close to their prime or coming off a win. Like Lennox was like, look, Andre Ward is another one.
SOG. How is he like? How is he like? Live. He's obviously a tremendous analyst, but like I'm sure you got to see some of his fights. I remember. I'm not too sure if it was his fight with Chad Dawson. Was that a HBO event as well?
It was. We did a 1 episode 24/7, and I was one of the producers, but I did Chad Dawson's side.
Yeah.
So I was with Chad, which his trainer was John Scully, and Chad Dawson was the light heavyweight champ at the time.
Yep.
Should have never Chad, and he's a big guy, 6'2", 6'3". He should have never went down to 168. I mean, they lost the fight just getting to weight. He should have never went down to 168, and because Ward dominated him, and Dawson was a better fighter than he showed in that Ward fight. But he made the choice to go, and he did it. He put it out there. He didn't say, Andre Ward, step up to 175. He said, I'll come down to 168. And I'm sure he got paid well, but that was a brutal fight for him. Yeah. Andre Ward was a great fighter. I thought he lost the first Kovalev fight. I did. I thought he did.
You had Ward losing.
I did, and I was rooting for him.
Okay.
But then you saw what he did in the rematch, and I was there in the crowd for the rematch. He ended Kovalev. Really, Kovalev stopped being the crusher.
Yeah,
I know he won a title again and lost it, and he stopped being the crusher after that fight.
No, I definitely agree with you.
I've got a question, George. Do you think Canelo is ducking Benavidez?
Yeah, he is. He is because he hasn't fought him. I don't know why though, because I don't think he's afraid. I could be wrong, but yeah, he's ducking him. He was the number one contender for how long? Yep. And now Edgar Berlanga is getting a shot. You got to look, like, the people that don't know, they'll just look at a record and say, oh, Berlanga's got all these knockouts, he must be good. But when you really, like, I know you do a deep dive, you watch the fights and you look at the record, who has he fought?
I know.
Who has he fought? That's why. Does he deserve a shot? Nope. No. Now they're hyping up the Puerto Rican Mexico thing. I think Canelo is going to destroy Berlanga. I do. But I don't know why. Maybe he doesn't want to take the toughest fights anymore, Canelo. Maybe because he is whatever the word, avoid. There's no reason why he shouldn't have fought him. He was the number one contender for I don't know how long. And it didn't happen because Canelo didn't want it to happen. And I'm not like people say, oh, he's afraid. They're not afraid. Like these guys, I don't think they're afraid. And it's a shame. That's a shame because that's one of the fights that should have happened. Like there's always a fight in a generation, like Riddick Bowe and Lennox Lewis should have happened in the pros, and it didn't.
Yeah,
and it didn't. And this is one. Maybe it's not on that scale, but it should have happened, and it's not going to because now I'll tell you what, moving up divisions is not easy because Benavidez and David Morrell, they had tough times when they moved up to 175. They weren't just smoking people the way they were at 168. So I wish Canelo, I would have loved to see Canelo and Benavidez, and because I think Benavidez would win, but I'm not one of those guys that says it would be an easy fight. Canelo is Canelo.
Yep.
Canelo is a great fighter. And I think Canelo's going to batter Berlanga. I really do. I think he's got, because I've seen all Berlanga's major fights, and as soon as he stepped up the competition, he stopped knocking guys out, and he wasn't looking particularly great doing it. And then he knocked out the last guy he fought, which I had never really heard of the guy. And now he gets a title shot because Canelo said, you get the next shot. So he calls all the shots. I think, didn't one of the organizations, I believe someone actually had the guts,
IBF,
to strip him, which is a shocking thing, because I thought that Canelo, I feel like when he dies, he's still going to have a belt somewhere. Someone's going to
yeah, definitely. That's why I call him El Presidente. I call him El Presidente of boxing, because he's the shot caller. He calls the shots, and he's the golden goose. So everyone wants to fight him, and you could see why Crawford, for example, he's trying to push for that fight, which I don't really want to see that fight, because I think there's weight divisions for a reason. Exactly. But there are the people that like fantasies, and they think that fight should make sense, man. But I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on that, and then we'll wrap up with the Wembley show.
Yeah, I don't want to see Bud and Canelo, because you're right. Weight classes are there for a reason. They just are. Meldrick Taylor, who we were talking about before, he moved up and he fought Terry Nars, I believe. Yes. And he got pounded. They make weight classes for a reason. I think it's too much for Bud. But Canelo is going to fight Berlanga. I think he beats Berlanga. Maybe he fights Mbili next. I don't know, but I guess Benavidez and Morrell, I guess they both left 168.
Yep.
I don't know if they're going to come back. And it's too bad, because really Canelo Benavidez is a fight that should have been made, and it could have been made, because look, Canelo, like you said, he's the golden goose. Whoever he says he wants to fight, that fight will happen regardless. Ooh. And he never said he wanted to fight Benavidez. So I don't want to see him and Bud. Look, I'm in my own fantasy land. I want to see Bud fight Boots. Yes. But he's not going to fight at 147 anymore. And you know what? I just want to get one thing out. Boxing, I hate interim champions. I hate interim, because you're not a champion. Yeah. You're not a real champion if you're an interim champion. You know why they do it? Because these organizations, they get to charge a sanctioning fee if you're an interim champion, and a sanctioning fee means you get a percentage of the organization gets a percentage of the purse. They just want to make more money. So now you're robbing fighters and fans of them winning a title. And Brian Norman, who I've interviewed, I like him a lot. He was an interim champion. Now he's got a belt because Bud vacated. So now he's a champion, but he doesn't have that moment where he actually won a title.
Yeah, that's
when I was a kid, Kenny Norton was like the only fighter, I think, who, I'm sure he wasn't the only one, but Kenny Norton was given a title because the winner of Ali Spinks, the first fight, was supposed to fight Kenny Norton. And they said, Spinks said, no, I'm fighting Ali for more money. So the BC stripped him and said, here, Kenny, here's a belt. I think I hate the whole idea of interim, and it's robbing these guys of winning a belt. That's a magic moment when a guy wins a title or a female wins a title. And now, they're just elevated. So I just, that bothers me. I had to get that out there because it's just happening more and more. Guys are just being given belts. You should fight for titles. Like Dubois, I believe, didn't they give Dubois a title?
Yeah, thanks to one of my favorite fighters. So I hate kind of putting it out there, but he made it happen. for England. That's why we're obviously getting the big fight for the IBF championship. George, I could speak and we could speak boxing with you for hours, man. But obviously, we know you're a family man. You've got things to do as well. So let's get your thoughts just very quickly. Dubois, Joshua, in Wembley. I'm sure you've seen, how the atmosphere is like. I'm not sure if you've come over and you need to experience the atmosphere, man.
I've been in Wales I did some stuff with Showtime when Joshua fought Parker, I think was in Wales. Like 50, 60, 70,000, however many people, but I've never been there. And I know, look, there's no doubt, like, your fans are the best fans. People say the Mexican fans, man, the whatever, who you want to battle for 1-2, but you guys support your fighters, and the atmosphere over there is insane. That's on my, I don't really have a bucket list, but that's on my list. Like, I want to get over there for a big fight because, man, just the only thing I can kind of equate to it, I was at the Mayweather Hatton fight.
Oh, yes.
It was like being in England. The Brits, you guys, I was at the MGM. I think it was the MGM. I was on like the 16th floor, and I could still hear people in the lobby singing "There's only one Ricky Hatton."
There's only one Ricky Hatton. Yeah,
man, incredible. Yeah. I want to experience that. I really do, because there's nothing like it. Like, you can feel the energy through your TV. Yeah. So I can't wait.
It's because of the football culture that we have here. Football is obviously, or soccer in your sense, is a big sport up here.
Right.
And the way us fans, we support our teams, it's like tribalism. So it's like when they support like crazy. You get the chants, you obviously get the drinks, the alcohol, of course, man, but it's nothing but good energy, good vibes. And I'm just happy that you, on your end, you got to experience that when Mayweather fought Hatton, because I was hearing it, even though I watched it here, I could feel the UK fans, the City fans, because he's a Manchester City supporter, the guys from Manchester supporting Hatton, because, he brings crowds, and it was great to see. I don't think we've seen a British fighter since Hatton, bring that kind of crowd to America. I believe Tyson Fury was quite close, but
not like Hatton. Not like Hatton.
That was a completely different scale.
Yeah, I agree. Ricky Hatton was he was a fun fighter. He had that when you have a fan-friendly style and you have passion. I mean, yeah, that night you would have not known that fight was in Vegas. Yeah. Those fans were so loud. They were probably outnumbered physically at the fight, but they were so loud that I forgot. I was like, "Where am I? Am I in Vegas? Am I in America?" Because they were just so passionate.
No, I love it. Absolutely love it. And obviously, big up to PYP Boxing as well. He's obviously saying, I was at the Hatton and Mayweather fight also. Like a soccer game vibe, yeah, which we definitely agree. I'm Mexican, but yes, the Euros are, huge fans, and I was at the fight. Now, big up to you, PYP Boxing. Thank you so much for, tuning in. And George, man, I feel like, we could talk, boxing for hours and hours.
Can I just say one thing about the Joshua Dubois? I'm picking Joshua. I'm picking Joshua, and I think he's active, and he's an active fighter. But I gotta give Dubois props, because a lot of fighters were saying he quit against Usyk, not fans. Like, fighters were saying he quit, and look what he did. Big Baby, Big Baby. I don't take much from that win, but Ergovic, he took him apart, and he was getting hit with shots in that fight.
Heavy shots as well.
Heavy shots. Yeah. But that's why I think Joshua, he's very hittable. And I thought he was incredible against Ergovic, but I think Joshua is going to become champ again. But you can't sell Dubois short, because, all right, if you say he quit against Usyk, whatever, he came back. He came right back. You never know the mentality of a fighter until they come back. And he came back and beat the brakes off Big Baby, made him cry. And then Ergovic just took Ergovic apart. Yeah. I mean, it was incredible what he did to the guy who just sat on his number one, couldn't get a fight or wouldn't take a fight. I don't know. But you got to give him credit. That's why I don't like people like to call fighters they're bums and then this and that. No, they're not. No, they're not. Some are better than others, but I'm picking Joshua and that Usyk. Seeing Usyk beat Fury, the Joshua fights make Usyk look even better now because I think Joshua is going to beat Dubois and I think he's going to be champ again. He looks good staying active. He really does. But that fight's first of all, I can't believe that fight's coming up. What's it? It's October, right? October 21st.
Yeah,
September 21st.
Oh, September. I'm sorry. It's in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's coming up. It's literally just round the corner. September 21st.
September. I can't wait.
Round the corner. It is literally round the corner, and AJ's ready. You could see he's hungry. And
I know you guys need to end this. But listen, I remember Frank Bruno. Frank Bruno was going to be the next big thing from England, and I was watching him fight because he would fight on TV, and I still remember him getting knocked out by Bone Crusher in the last round. Bone Crusher Smith.
I
was rooting for Bruno when he fought Oliver McCall. I wanted him to win a belt, man. Like Bruno gave Lennox Lewis a tough fight. People forget about that. I was very happy when Bruno beat McCall and became champ. But I think Joshua's going to be champ again.
Oh no, big up to you, big up to you. Just a quick one, obviously, before we go. We got Lucy's always supporting us, so she wanted to just throw this question over to yourself. Who's your pound for pound number one right now? So let's have it.
I got to give it to Inoue. I know Bud just isn't active enough, and Bud struggled with Madrimov. But if you want to go 1-2 between those two guys, Inoue is that guy is
something else
for us. Like he's fighting again soon. He's gonna probably an easy fight for him. But he seems to fight on a Tuesday in the U.S. and it's like 7 a.m. 7. So it's like a Tuesday night early bird special. Like you get every few months we get to watch the monster fight. He's something right now. I think he's the best fighter in the world. Bud is up there too. Bud is also 36, whatever he is, but he's not active enough. It's not his fault. Yeah. But he had a tough fight against Madrimov. He did. But I think Inoue is the top fighter. But that's how people argue. Like people get into it. Like I would never argue. Like that's who I think, and whoever you think is your number one. But the monster, he's special. That guy's a special fighter.
No, I definitely agree with you. Oh, George, thank you once again. We had to do overtime for you. Honestly, we had to do overtime for you because. We love your boxing brain. You've been around the sport for such a long period. You've covered different aspects of the sport as well. So getting that energy, getting that wisdom from yourself is it's an absolute pleasure. And once again, just for the people, make sure you're following and subscribing to George. Of course, he's got his channel called One Round with George. So we've put the link on the description for you guys, so make sure you head over. And also we've got George's Instagram link also in there as well, so guys, make sure you flood his DM appropriately with good messages, man. But no, big up to you, George. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you guys. I want to do this again.
Come on, anytime.
You say anytime, and you're gonna be like, this guy keeps
no.
Let's have it. Like every single show.
Let's have it. Let's do it. Anytime you're ready. Just drop us a DM, of course, and look, we're more than happy to make it happen.
You said it. Anytime.
Yep.
Anytime. Yep. Any place. So, yeah. Big up
appreciate
to
you guys.
No, big up to you. Big up to you once again. So, because I'm going to hand that over to yourself. But, big up. I'm just so excited that we've had, in my eyes, you're a legend for what you do. Because, honestly, you've done some tremendous work.
I appreciate that. I really do. Legend, I don't know, but look, I love talking boxing with you guys. So
you got two new subs
again. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And PYP Boxing. So you got 2 new subs here. So
I appreciate it. Appreciate it.
No, big up
guys,
to you.
Thank you for tuning in. We're back here again, I believe, in the next hour. Just remember to like, share, subscribe.
I'll be watching
in an hour.
God
Peace and
bless.
love.
Peace and love.
It's another band. All the Muslim cars now, whichever get up. I talk my card with a sweet one, please. Someone flex me a bag,